The cosmic castaway commander Elias Reeves gripped the controls of his failing scout ship as it plummeted through the lavender atmosphere of the uncharted planet. Warning lights flashed across the console as the engines sputtered and died. "Mayday, mayday! This is Terran Scout Vesper requesting emergency assistance," he called into the comm unit. Only static answered his plea. The dense magnetic field of this strange world had cut off all communication with the fleet. As the ground rushed toward him, Elias braced for impact. The ship skidded across a field of silver-blue grass, carving a deep gash in the alien soil before coming to rest at the edge of a crystalline forest. The crash had been violent, but somehow he'd survived. Elias dragged himself from the wreckage, blood trickling from a gash on his forehead. The air was surprisingly breathable, sweet with unfamiliar scents. In the distance, he could make out structures built into massive trees that spiraled toward the lavender sky. His vision blurred as he staggered forward. The last thing he saw before collapsing was a figure approaching, slender, graceful, with skin the color of twilight. When Elias awoke, he found himself in a circular chamber with walls that seemed to pulse with bioluminescent light. He lay on a bed of soft moss-like material, his wounds cleaned and dressed. "You're awake." The voice was melodic, curious. Elias turned to see a woman watching him. Her purple skin shimmered with subtle patterns that shifted as she moved closer. Her eyes were large and entirely silver, without pupil or iris. A cascade of luminous white hair framed her face. "I am Zara," she said, studying him with fascination. "What are you?" Elias struggled to sit up. "My name is Commander Elias Reeves of the Terran Exploration Fleet. I'm human." "Human," she repeated, the word unfamiliar on her tongue. "But you are different." "Different how?" Elias asked, confused. Zara reached out tentatively, her fingers hovering near his stubbled jaw. "None of us have this coarseness on our faces. Or this." She gestured to his broad shoulders, his deeper voice. Understanding dawned on Elias. "You've never seen a man before." Zara shook her head, silver eyes wide. "There are no males among the Nixian people. Not for generations." A commotion outside interrupted them. Voices called in a language Elias couldn't understand, though Zara's expression grew worried. "The matriarch's guards," she whispered. "They're searching for the fallen star, you. Not everyone will welcome your presence here." "Why are you helping me?" Elias asked. Zara's gaze met his, something unspoken passing between them. "Because you're a miracle," she replied softly. "And I've always believed in miracles." She pressed a finger to his lips as footsteps approached. "Trust me," she whispered, her warm breath against his cheek sending an unexpected shiver down his spine. "If they find you, I cannot guarantee your safety." As Zara quickly concealed him beneath shimmering fabrics, Elias realized he was stranded on a world unlike any he had ever encountered, a world where his very existence was something extraordinary. Retry UB 2 to 3 parts. Part 2, Whispers Among Blossoms. For 3 cycles of Nyx's triple moons, Zara kept Elias hidden in her healing sanctuary at the outskirts of Luminara, the main settlement of her people. The dwelling, built within the hollowed trunk of an ancient crystal tree, provided the perfect refuge with its maze of chambers unknown to most Nyxians. "The Council believes the fallen object was merely a meteor," Zara explained as she brought him a bowl of iridescent fruit. "But Matriarch Vela is suspicious. She's doubled the patrols near the crash site." Elias nodded, taking the offering. In his time on Nyx, he'd learned that the society functioned through a complex matriarchal structure, with Vela as the supreme leader. "I need to assess the damage to my ship. There might be a way to send a distress signal." Zara's expression fell slightly. "You wish to leave us already?" "My crew will be searching for me," Elias said, though he found himself strangely reluctant at the thought of departure. "But first, I need to understand this world. How is it possible that there are no men here?" Zara sat beside him, their shoulders nearly touching. "The ancient texts speak of a time when there were males among our kind, but a great calamity changed our evolution. For centuries our reproduction has occurred through a sacred ritual under the conjunction of our moons. The matriarch channels energy from the crystal forest to create new life. That's remarkable," Elias murmured, momentarily forgetting his predicament as he found himself lost in Zara's silvery gaze. She leaned closer, studying his features with undisguised fascination. "May I?" she asked, raising her hand toward his face. Elias nodded, his heart accelerating as her purple fingers traced the line of his jaw, exploring the texture of his stubble. Her touch was electric, sending warmth cascading through him. "Your species' dimorphism is fascinating," she whispered, but her scientific curiosity seemed to be evolving into something else as her fingers trailed down to his chest. A sudden knock at the outer chamber door startled them apart. Zara quickly guided Elias to a hidden alcove behind a curtain of bioluminescent vines. "Healer Zara," came a commanding voice. "The matriarch requires your presence at the council immediately." Through a gap in the vines, Elias watched as Lyria, the matriarch's chief guard, entered the chamber. Unlike Zara's willowy frame, Lyria was tall and athletic, her purple skin adorned with ceremonial markings that signified her rank. "What does Vela want with me?" Zara asked, her voice steady despite her obvious tension. "Strange energies have been detected since the meteor fall. Some of the younger ones are experiencing unusual dreams." Lyria's silver eyes narrowed suspiciously. "And there are whispers that you've been absent from community gatherings." "My healing work keeps me occupied," Zara replied evenly. Lyria stepped closer, sniffing the air. "There's an unfamiliar scent here." Elias held his breath, acutely aware that discovery would mean danger not only for himself but for Zara as well. The connection forming between them had become precious to him in ways he hadn't anticipated. "New medicinal blossoms from the northern groves," Zara explained smoothly. "I'll attend the council shortly." After Lyria departed, Zara rushed to Elias. "It's not safe for you here anymore. Tonight, under cover of darkness, I'll take you to your ship." As night fell, and they slipped through the luminous forest, Elias found Zara's hand entwining with his. The simple touch felt profound, a bridge between their worlds. At the crash site, Elias assessed the damage with a sinking heart. "The communication systems are beyond repair," he admitted. "I'm stranded here." Instead of disappointment, a small smile formed on Zara's lips. "Then we have time," she whispered, stepping into his arms with newfound boldness, "to discover what this connection between us truly means." Under the glow of 3 moons, their lips met in a tentative first kiss that promised to change everything. The Lunar Festival. The Great Conjunction approached, a rare alignment of Nyx's 3 moons that bathed the planet in silver-blue radiance. For the Nyxians, it marked their most sacred celebration, the Lunar Festival, when new life was traditionally created through the matriarch's crystal rituals. "The entire settlement will be focused on the ceremonies," Zara explained as she adorned Elias with traditional festival garments, flowing fabrics that shimmered like liquid starlight. "It's our chance for you to witness our culture without hiding in shadows." With his hair temporarily dyed white and his face painted with luminescent patterns to match the Nyxians, Elias could potentially blend in among the festivities, at least from a distance. "Remember," Zara cautioned, her fingers lingering as she adjusted his disguise, "speak to no one. The moment they hear your voice, they'll know you're different." The main settlement of Luminara had been transformed for the celebration. Crystal structures pulsed with living light, and floating lanterns drifted through the air. Hundreds of Nyxians gathered in the central grove, their purple skin and white hair creating a sea of twilight beneath the converging moons. Protected by the anonymity of the crowd, Elias observed the Nyxians with anthropological interest that quickly gave way to emotional connection. Their dances told stories of creation and harmony. Their songs resonated with frequencies that seemed to vibrate through his very soul. At the center of it all stood Matriarch Vela upon a crystal dais, regal and imposing. Unlike the other Nyxians, her skin bore intricate patterns of deeper purple, almost black in their intensity. "She doesn't create new life out of altruism," Zara whispered as they watched from the periphery. "Each new Nyxian born strengthens her connection to the crystal power. That's why our numbers have dwindled under her rule. She fears creating potential rivals." As the 3 moons aligned perfectly overhead, the celebration reached its pinnacle. The crystal dais beneath Vela began to pulse with blinding light. The crowd fell silent as she raised her arms, channeling energy that arced between the crystals surrounding the grove. Suddenly, Vela's head snapped in their direction, her silver eyes somehow finding Elias despite the crowd. "There is a disturbance in the energy field," her voice boomed across the grove. "Something foreign walks among us. We must leave now," Zara urged, pulling Elias toward a secluded path that led into the depths of the crystal forest. They ran until the sounds of the festival faded, finally stopping in a small clearing illuminated by bioluminescent flowers that opened only during the conjunction. Breathless, they collapsed onto a bed of soft silver moss. The 3 moons shone directly overhead, bathing them in ethereal light. "She sensed me somehow," Elias said, his voice tight with concern. "It's the conjunction. It heightens all connections on Nyx," Zara explained, her silver eyes reflecting the moonlight as she moved closer to him, "including the one between us." The air around them seemed to vibrate with possibility as Zara slowly unwound the ceremonial scarves from her shoulders, revealing more of her shimmering purple skin. "On this night, life bonds are formed," she whispered, guiding his hands to the patterns that swirled across her skin, patterns that pulsed brighter at his touch. "I've never felt drawn to anyone the way I'm drawn to you, Elias, under the light of 3 moons. They surrendered to the connection that had been growing between them since the moment he fell from the stars, a union of 2 beings from different worlds finding something unexpected yet undeniable in each other's arms. Forbidden knowledge." The days following the lunar festival brought a palpable tension to Luminara. Matriarch Vela had ordered increased patrols throughout the crystal forests, and Zara's healing sanctuary was subjected to unexpected inspections that forced Elias to utilize the network of hidden chambers within the ancient tree dwelling. "They're searching systematically now," Zara warned as she returned from her mandatory council appearance. Her usual serene demeanor was fractured with worry. "Vela has accessed the ancestral archives. She knows something." Elias pulled her into his arms, their bodies fitting together with a familiarity that still amazed him. Since their night under the conjunction, their bond had deepened beyond physical attraction into something neither had words to describe. "We need to understand what happened to the men of your world," Elias said. "The answer might be crucial to my survival here." Zara nodded reluctantly. "There's a forbidden section of the archives. As a healer, I have limited access. We could try tonight, when the guard changes." Under the cover of darkness, they slipped through Luminara, using the bioluminescent pathways that glowed dimly beneath the canopy of crystal trees. The archive was housed within the oldest tree in the settlement, its trunk wider than 10 Nyxians, standing with outstretched arms. Inside, Zara led Elias down spiraling stairs to a chamber sealed with a barrier that pulsed with energy. She placed her palm against it, whispering ancient Nyxian words. The barrier shimmered and parted just enough for them to squeeze through. The forbidden archives contained not books, but crystal shards that held memories and knowledge. Zara selected one and placed it in a receptacle at the center of the room. Immediately, the air around them filled with 3-dimensional images, historical records from centuries past. "There," Zara pointed to figures clearly recognizable as male Nyxians, their purple skin a shade darker than the females', their builds more similar to Elias's own. The images shifted, showing conflict, then devastation. A massive ship, far larger than Elias's scout vessel, descended from the skies. The male Nyxians approached it while the females hung back. There was a blinding flash, and when it cleared, the males were gone. They weren't killed, Elias realized, studying the next sequence of images. They were taken. The record showed the remaining female Nyxians gathered around a central figure, an ancestor of Vela, wearing similar markings. She raised her hands to the crystals surrounding them, channeling energy in a ritual that looked remarkably similar to the one Vela had performed at the conjunction. "She found a way to create life without males," Zara whispered, "but at a cost." Each new generation became more dependent on the crystal energy, and on the matriarch who controlled it. The final images revealed a shocking truth. The matriarchs had been suppressing certain genetic expressions in each new generation, ensuring that only females were born, maintaining their power structure. "This changes everything," Elias said. "Your people weren't naturally evolved to be single-gendered. It was a deliberate." The crystal suddenly went dark, as the chamber filled with blinding light. Standing at the entrance was Matriarch Vela, flanked by Lyria and 4 guards. "Healer Zara," Vela's voice was cold as the void between stars. Your betrayal is even deeper than I suspected. Lyria stepped forward, weapon raised. Stand away from the alien, Zara. He's not here to harm us. Zara placed herself protectively in front of Elias. He could help our people. The archives show— I know what the archives show, Vela cut her off. Why do you think this knowledge is forbidden? The old ways brought weakness and division. I've preserved our society. You've controlled it, Elias countered, earning a sharp look from the matriarch. You'll be studied, Vela declared, her silver eyes calculating. Your biological material may prove useful in strengthening our genetic diversity, without reintroducing the chaos of your gender. Before the guards could seize them, Elias grabbed a crystal shard and hurled it at the chamber's illumination source. In the momentary darkness, he and Zara escaped through a secondary passage Zara had spotted earlier. They emerged from the great tree to find Luminara in disarray. Alarms echoed through the settlement as they raced toward the outskirts, toward the crash site where Elias's ship lay partially repaired from their previous visits. She'll never stop hunting us now, Zara said, her voice breaking as they paused to catch their breath in a secluded grove. I've been cast out from my people. Elias took her face in his hands. You found the truth, Zara, and perhaps— He hesitated, an idea forming. Perhaps there's a way to help your entire civilization break free from Vela's control. In the distance, search parties combed the crystal forests, their lights cutting through the darkness like accusing fingers pointing toward the fugitives who now carried forbidden knowledge that could change the fate of an entire world. Beyond the stars. The next 7 days became a desperate game of survival, as Elias and Zara evaded capture, moving constantly through the less-traveled regions of Nyx. They discovered caves beneath the crystal forests where the luminescence took on deeper, older patterns telling stories that predated even the ancestral archives. Look at these. Zara traced her finger along wall etchings depicting Nyxian ships traveling between stars. My people were once spacefaring, before the matriarchs, before the isolation. Elias studied the markings with growing excitement. These aren't just historical records. They're technical schematics. Navigation systems, propulsion mechanisms. Could they help repair your ship? Zara asked, hope illuminating her features. Better, Elias grinned. They might help us build a transmitter powerful enough to reach my fleet. Using salvaged parts from his crashed vessel and crystal formations that Zara helped identify for their energy conductivity properties, they worked tirelessly to construct a communication device. Their fingers intertwined frequently during their work, each touch a reminder of what they were fighting for. During their 6th night in hiding, as they lay wrapped in each other's arms beneath a canopy of crystal formations that mirrored the stars above Nyx, Zara confessed her deepest fear. Even if your people come, what place is there for me? I'm neither human nor, after betraying the matriarch, truly Nyxian anymore. Elias pulled her closer, his fingers tracing the patterns on her purple skin that now responded instantly to his touch, glowing brighter as if recognizing something kindred. You'll always have a place with me, he promised. But first, we need to free your people from centuries of manipulation. At dawn, their transmitter was ready. As Elias activated it, the crystals surrounding their hiding place amplified the signal in unexpected ways, sending pulses of energy throughout the entire network of crystal formations that spanned Nyx. The effect was immediate and far-reaching. Across Luminara, Nyxians stopped in confusion as the crystal structures that had always been controlled by the matriarchy began to pulse with independent rhythms, ancient frequencies awakening after centuries of suppression. She comes, Zara warned, sensing Vela's approach before they saw the matriarch's contingent emerging from the forest. This time, Vela had brought nearly every guard in Luminara surrounding the cave entrance. You've activated the old network, Vela's voice carried to them, tight with barely controlled rage. Surrender now, and some of your knowledge may be preserved along with useful genetic material. Elias and Zara exchanged glances, a silent communication passing between them that needed no words. They stepped forward together, out of the cave and into the clearing where Vela waited. Your rule through manipulation ends today, Elias announced. The archives and these cave markings tell the true history of the Nyxian people. a spacefaring civilization, advanced and balanced before your ancestors seized control. Murmurs spread through the gathered guards as Zara stepped forward. The conjunction approaches again. She addressed not Vela, but the other Nixians. A minor one, but sufficient. Feel the crystals responding to a different frequency now, the original harmonic, not the distorted version the matriarchs have used to limit our evolution. As if responding to her words, the crystal formations surrounding them pulsed with increasing brilliance. Several of the younger guards lowered their weapons, their silver eyes wide with wonder.
"Lies and alien deception,"
Vela spat, but there was fear beneath her anger now. A thunderous roar from above silenced all voices. A massive ship broke through the lavender clouds, a Terran command vessel responding to Elias's signal. It hovered above the clearing, casting everyone in its shadow. In the moment of awe and confusion that followed, Lyria, whom everyone had assumed to be Vela's most loyal supporter, stepped forward and removed her ceremonial markings. "I've served as your chief guard for 70 cycles," she said to Vela, "watching you sacrifice our future for your power." "No more." She turned to the other guards. "I've verified the archive records myself. Everything they claim is true." The standoff might have erupted into violence, but at that moment, the minor conjunction reached its peak. The amplified crystal network responded with a pulse of energy that swept through all of Luminara. When it passed, every Nixian stood straighter, their silver eyes clearer, as if a veil had been lifted. "What have you done?" Vela demanded, her authority crumbling as guards began to lower their weapons. "Remove the suppression frequency," Zara explained. "For generations, the crystals haven't just been used to create new life, but to limit consciousness, to prevent questions about the missing males, to maintain control." From the Terran ship, a shuttle descended. As it landed, Elias stepped forward to greet his people, never letting go of Zara's hand. "Your society stands at a crossroads," he addressed the assembled Nixians. "The Terran Alliance offers friendship and exchange of knowledge, but the choice of your future path belongs to you alone." Lyria and other Nixians moved to secure Vela, whose power diminished visibly as the crystal network continued to pulse with the ancient, uncorrupted frequencies. Later, as Elias introduced Zara to his astonished crew members, she gazed up at the lavender sky where stars were beginning to appear. "Do you think we'll find them?" she asked softly. "The lost males of my species taken so long ago?" Elias wrapped his arm around her waist, pulling her close. "If they're out there among the stars, we'll find them together. But first, there's a whole galaxy I want to show you." As Nyx's triple moons rose over the crystal forests, two figures from different worlds stood at the threshold of a new beginning, not just for themselves, but for an entire civilization rediscovering its true history and potential. Their love, born of cosmic chance and nurtured against all odds, had become the catalyst for liberation, proving that sometimes the most profound connections transcend the boundaries of worlds and the limitations of what we believe possible.